Hi everyone, I'm Dwayne and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to talk about the Line 6 event that's happening on June 12th. So Line 6 put out this announcement that they're having a live stream for just commemorating the 10th year anniversary for the Helix. So naturally, on the surface, that doesn't sound like a whole lot. Oh yeah, 10-year anniversary, all good. But then during that announcement, they said that there was going to be a special development presentation. There's going to be a whole bunch of artists and whatnot. One of the big ones is Tim Pierce is going to be there. And I believe that Tim Pierce is actually, I know he loves his manual amps and stuff, but I believe Tim Pierce is actually quite a big fractal user. So naturally, you start connecting all these dots, and one could surmise that, okay, well, something's happening here. Maybe it's not just the 10th year anniversary, maybe it's something more, maybe it's new hardware, which is naturally where a lot of people kind of started to lean towards. For me, I was kind of more thinking, okay, well, maybe we're not going to get new hardware. If we do, that could be a nice bonus. But maybe what we're going to get is a special 4.0 firmware update for the Helix to kind of give it even more amps and effects and capabilities and whatnot. Now, obviously, there's a big elephant in the room in terms of features and whatnot, and that is the neural amp modeler capture functionality. So if you're not familiar, neural amp modeler is basically like this open source, I guess you could say, standard for modeling. So, you know, if you're familiar with Kemper profiles and quad cortex captures, it's essentially that, where you can take a snapshot of an amp and whatnot. But it's an open standard, and a lot of modelers are actually starting to support it now. The notable absence, of course, is the Helix, which, you know, a lot of people are saying we want NAM capture support. And Line 6 haven't said yes or no on that. If you go into their, they have an idea scale, which is like an app basically where the community can request features and you can vote them up. Neural amp modeler captures are actually pretty high up on the list. So it's a feature that everyone wants, whether or not Line 6 even wants to put capture functionality in there. Technically, they're not adding the capture functionality itself to the Helix. They're just allowing people to use Helix models on the actual unit itself, but not perform the captures. You've got to get those third party or obviously do them yourself. But this video isn't about that. This video is about the Line 6 event on June 12th. So everyone was speculating, okay, well, something big is coming. And then you've got Steve Stalachi, who is actually quite a prominent Line 6 Helix user, and he's done a lot of great content on the Helix itself. He put out this video about the event as well, and he was talking about, you know, things that he would like to see and speculating, are we getting new hardware, and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, it kind of all made sense, and there wasn't really a definitive sort of yes or no from Helix, so from Line 6, as to whether or not we're actually getting new hardware, until Steve actually posted on the Facebook group. So if you're not familiar, there's a Facebook group for the Line 6 family. It's called the Line 6 Helix Family User Group, official and original. So it's the official Facebook group. It's all about Helix and whatnot. It's a great group. If you haven't joined, you should join. But you can see Steve posted his video yesterday and was talking about it. He has also revealed, I didn't realize this until he said it in his video that he linked here, but Line 6 invited a whole bunch of, I guess you could say, musician influencers from social media, YouTube, all that kind of stuff, to this event. And you could surmise, okay, they're pulling out the big guns here. Something big is going down. That's not to say something big isn't going down, but if you scroll down on this post here, you can see kind of people just posting stuff. Yeah, obviously you can see NAM capture block for existing Helix, which would be huge. I agree, that'd be a massive. And then obviously another person said it again. UHF wireless, which kind of makes sense. But if you go down, there's a comment from Eric Klein. So he's like the chief product architect or something around that lines at Line 6 for the Helix. So he's kind of a big cheese at Line 6. And he comments, "Oh geez, I think we might be setting people up for disappointment here. It's mainly just a 10th anniversary party, people, to make up for not doing anything at NAMM the past few years." So he didn't say no new Helix hardware, but he's also, if you read between the lines here, he's basically saying, "Oh, okay, people are assuming it's going to be this big, grandiose event. We've got new hardware, all this kind of stuff happening." And basically, what he's saying here, it's mainly just a 10th anniversary party. So that doesn't kind of say conclusively that we're not getting a new kind of device, but I would say that kind of with 95% certainty, that pretty much all but says that we aren't getting a new Helix device. And some people, in the community are of the belief that even though it's a 10-year-old device, we don't need a new Helix device just yet. I mean, I feel like for some people, there are people out there using the Helix that aren't even hitting the DSP limit on the Helix floor. Not everyone is a power user. Not everyone is stacking, has a need to stack 10 reverbs. And you can still get creative with the Helix and kind of split between the rows using splitters and whatnot, and all that kind of stuff. But I think for some people, more DSP isn't necessarily a selling point. That's why, some people still choose to buy the Helix over more powerful options like the fractal units, the quad cortex, all that kind of stuff, because a lot of people don't need that extra power. Some people do like having that extra power. I mean, I own the quad cortex as well as the Helix. I will admit, these days I'm actually finding myself, with exception of my video content, I'm finding myself enjoying the Helix just a little bit more because I feel like the Helix is more of a power user device and that you can configure things. I love the tactile knobs on there. I love how it's more of an old school device with the switches and stuff like that. Would a touchscreen be cool? I mean, I think it would to an extent, but I build a lot of my presets on the Helix using HX Edit. And then also on my quad cortex, despite the fact it has a touchscreen, I'll be honest, I don't think I've used a touchscreen in, well over a year. As soon as they added the editor for the quad cortex control, I started building all of my presets on the computer. And then when I do use it, I'm not changing stuff between the touchscreen. I'm kind of just stomping between the scenes or going up in banks and whatnot. So, a touchscreen for some might be a cool feature, but I think for the Helix, it's not essential. And for 10-year hardware, I think it's held up very, very well. There have been very few times where I've been using the Helix. I'm quite new to owning the Helix as well. I bought one just a few months ago. But I think there are a lot of instances where I have never felt like I've needed more power from the Helix. People kind of romanticize having the best and having all this room for possibility and whatnot. But the truth is you don't need it most of the time. If you're a metal guy, all you need is a tube screamer, like a high gain amp, maybe some EQ. If you're doing clean sounds, all you need is like an amp with nice clean headroom, and then maybe a delay and a reverb and a compressor. I mean, all this stuff is possible on the Helix. A lot of people out there have been using the Helix for the 10 years. Dustin Kensrue from Thrice comes to mind. He's been a Helix user since the beginning, and he has said that he has wished it had more DSP, but he's actually a power user. He's got like automatic pickup switching in his guitar and all this kind of stuff and doing all these weird stereo splits and routing and whatnot. But, 99% of people aren't doing that. And having said that, he's recorded like the last 3 albums using just the Helix. No amps, no software, nothing, just the Helix. So I think the Helix is still I think it's still enough. A hardware refresh could be nice, maybe a smaller form factor, as other people have touched upon, maybe something along the lines of the quad cortex. Maybe remove the expression pedal, could reduce the size of it a little bit, but keep the power. Maybe condense things down a little bit. But you have, the Helix LT and, the HX Stomp and whatnot as well that kind of fill those voids. Yes, less power than the Helix floor, but there are options in the Helix family to kind of, in terms of form factor. So yeah, Line 6, and all this to say the Line 6 event on June 12th. Not to say that we aren't getting something new, but I doubt it's hardware. I'm pretty certain that we're not getting a Helix 2 just based on what Eric Klein has said here, unless they're trying to kind of, I guess keep it a secret and undersell it. And then when the announcement comes, they're like, bam, here's a new Helix. Or maybe it's not even a new Helix at all. Maybe it's something else entirely. Maybe a completely new device using the same Helix software. Who knows? But I would say I've been pretty confident that they're not underselling it. They're kind of it's just a 10th year anniversary. You're probably going to have cool behind the scenes stuff. Maybe you're going to see stuff that's coming. One thing I do think that could be possible here is maybe we could be getting another huge firmware update. 3.80 was massive. I don't know how you top that because that was just huge, but we could be getting a 4.0 update that just goes even bigger. We could be getting NAM block support on there, which a lot of people want. Line 6 know that people want it, but yeah, I would say I would lead from what Eric Klein has said here, and that this is really just a celebration party. They're bringing all these people that have used the Helix or use the Helix, maybe to kind of go through how they use it and show their tones off and stuff like that. But yeah, I think this event is, maybe it's time we taper our expectations, and if something big happens, pleasantly surprised. But if not, we're not going to be disappointed, because I do feel like some people are kind of setting themselves up for failure here, expecting something big when it appears that it's not. So it's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching and listening to my rambling. Leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are, what your wish list is for the Helix, and if you have any thoughts around the announcement and, what your perspective on the situation is. And hopefully I'll see you around another video. Thank you.